Hi again, everyone. So we're being joined by our guest this morning, which is Mame Kani Diop. Mame Kani, how are you?
I'm
How's the connection on your side?
well, it's better. So thank you for having me today. I'm really excited to be sharing this morning with you.
Awesome. We're happy to have you as well. So the conversation this morning literally is going to be about understanding markets, understanding platforms, and also understanding consumers to help a brand or any company have a segmentation or targeting that makes sense in a business space. So, before we jump into the topic, I would like you to introduce a little bit yourself, talk about what you do on a daily basis, and then we will go directly to the program and what we are trying to achieve with the program as well.
Of course. So again, thank you for the platform. So I'm Mame Kani Diop. I work in the fragrance industry. I don't work for a specific brand, but I work for a fragrance house, and I've been based in West Africa for the past 3 years now. So my background blends a little bit of science. I started with a biology diploma, and then I went into business, and then finally I went into a fragrance. It was really, I would say, a long journey that took me a step to where I am today. I really where I'm standing now is a real blend of functions. I have a little bit of creativity in my work. I have a lot of data, the business incentive. So it's really a crossroads of disciplines. And to me, it was very important that I bring this to Africa, especially because not that Europe isn't worth it, but because our continent is on the rise. There's a lot of entrepreneurs in diverse industries. Today, we're noticing that there is a lack of structure in the way some ventures are taken. So my role today, even with those manufacturing companies in West Africa, is to really guide them, make the best solutions, and also take good decisions when it comes to product design and targeting the right consumer. So this is a little bit of everything I do.
So you work in a perfume, fragrance, and beauty space, right? Okay. So just so our audience understand and knows where you based. So where are you based exactly? Are you based in Europe? Are you based in Africa?
No, I
Which space do you cover in terms of territory when it comes to Africa?
Okay, so I'm based in Abidjan, West Africa, and from our office, we cover um, Ghana, Senegal, Nigeria, Cameroon, and Congo. I used to have a wider scope, but because of again segmentation differences and market specificities, we've had to split the West and Southeast. Even now, with those two main regions, it is quite big, and we will see, with the rest of this conversation, that it is a choice that we've had to make because Africa is not a monolith. And I think it's something that must be addressed by everybody going into enterprise in Africa. You will not be addressing every country with the same strategy. This doesn't happen. So it's very fragmented, and we used to have a really large view, but as our business progressed, we've had to make some creative decisions and start to segment even further our vision and our efforts.
That's true. And thank you for reminding us that Africa is not a monolith, because I think most of the time when we talk about the African continent, we think that from Senegal to Nigeria, consumer are behaving the same way, or from Cote d'Ivoire to Cameroon, consumer are behaving the same way, and target groups are behaving the same way. So it's very important to highlight that. And I don't want to do that differentiation, but that's a differentiation that's usual on a continent. If you take Francophone Africa and Anglophone
Yes.
Africa, you see that there's already a lot of differences. The way you access market, the way you enter market, the way you interact with consumers is really not going to be the same. So thank you for pinpointing that you're based in Abidjan, and from Abidjan, the strategy of the brands or company that you help and support into creating new products has that global vision.
Yes.
And that aspect of you having that kind of insight is also very important in the way we're looking at a program. Because sometimes we know that consumers are different, but we don't know exactly what the difference criteria. So thank you for pinpointing. So I just want to talk a little bit more about the program. The program that we are building here, that we're creating here for our founders and young entrepreneurs in the creative space. The idea is really to help founders who are not maybe used to corporate approach. You really have that strategic approach to market. A lot of creatives and founders, creative entrepreneurs, they go with the gut, they go with their feelings. And sometimes when they hit the market hit them back and they don't understand what's going on. So for our creative founder, the program that we're building is really to help them build the brand, pour into African heritage, but that has a vision that can touch the world in a way. To do that, they have to create a foundation in their brand at the very beginning of how they're establishing the brand, give them the possibility to have that extension and not dilute the DNA or dilute the essence of the brand. So within the program, your intervention is really going to be about guiding her participant into understanding markets. I know sometimes for some people it's a big words, but to you, how can you make it simple for people when we're saying markets? What should people understand when we're saying market dynamics? What should people understand about from there? Thank you so much for summarizing it. I think it gives a pragmatic vision. Maybe people who don't understand the term market when we say market, because that term is really used for when we say access to market. But what does it mean? And I think it's important to summarize that is a convergence of dynamics, and you can't just go blindfolded in the market and expecting people to just understand what you're trying to do. And I think probably the first layer is like you have to try to understand the dynamics. And when you understand the dynamic, you have to understand the behaviors of people. Where are the transactions being made? At which frequency? Who are the people leading that market in terms of consumption? What is triggering their consumption? And once you have that, you also have key trends. What is influencing those markets? People online, conversation, differentiation in terms of different group of consumers. Having that understanding start to give you a sense of clarity. And maybe something that is also give you is understanding who are the players. Because if you don't understand the players, you will definitely not understand the game. Giving that approach to analyzing the space we are playing in start to give us a sense of what is the game, what are we playing, who is the key players, and how people are responding to the game. And in the work that you're going to be doing in a program, are you going to go also be giving um, maybe some tools to people, to have participants to understand how to structure that understanding? Because understanding in a generic term like this, yes, but how do you structure that understanding? I'm not saying at the end of the day you know everything, but you roughly know where you are, what's going on, and maybe how you can bring your your edge to the market. Thank you so much for highlighting observation, because sometimes when I say, market study, we feel like it's only numbers, people, demographics, salary earned, age. And I'm like, guys, you have to get out of that. Just go out, sit at a restaurant, look at the people passing by, and try to observe and analyze how they are reacting. Or go to a supermarket and you see how people are choosing, what influence their choice. Or go to a department store and be observant. And I think that field market research is even the best, because you rather have example of 2 3 concrete behavior of people that you've seen forming the behavior, rather than sitting on your desk and say, okay, my target audience is people age, 25 to 40. But you know that the 25 years old and the 40 years old are not, they're not living by the same dynamics. So it doesn't really mean a thing to say that, rather than just going and seeing how people are, you know, reacting to offers, or you can even talk to them and see how they are answering your question. And I think that kind of field approach to market research is the best, because even if you have quantitative information, quality of the information that you have straight when you're interacting with your potential or target, your prospect, as we call it in marketing, is the best way to know how they might react when they see your offer. So thank you for highlighting that. Observation is one important part of doing your market research. You have to be very observant, and you have to be able to see patterns in how people are behaving, or to have the ability to make deduction or create probabilities of. So thank you for pinpointing. Let's say we look at the market as a big space where there are dynamics, where people are information is converging, things are happening. Then we narrow it to say, okay, I'm going to the field, I'm going to try to understand it. And then we take it to the even more precise, where we have this core group of people who we think there's some similarities between them. Then we're starting to build a persona to say, okay, for my brand, I think these are the people who are more in the core target. And then from there, I broaden my target, and I see how other people are reacting. So thank you very much for pinpoint. Maybe something that I want us also to touch base about, because most of the people in the program are really into fashion, a little bit of design, and a little bit of beauty. But I also want you to talk about fragrances and beauty as a market space that has not been yet very much explored from a creative standpoint. When we're talking about designer, do you feel like, have you seen example of brands who are doing only fashion, but who are considering having a new product category into fragrances? Could even be just home fragrances. Do you have any example, or do you feel like that's something that should be more explored? And I agree with you that if we're looking mostly at African continent, we're not seeing this brand emerge yet, but maybe we can give some example of brands who are performing on global platforms. I have a very good example of a brand like Cezanne in France, for instance, where they were born on social media, the DNVB. They were born like digital native vertical brand. They were literally born on social media. They started with fashion, but incrementally you will see them in so many different spaces and doing different product category, like doing a perfume, or different product that you wouldn't imagine necessarily like a young designer being venturing in. My reaction every time I see that, and maybe for the people who don't understand the background of the business, how do you do that? I mean, if I'm a creative person and I'm good at fashion, how do I diversify my portfolio and get into, let's say, fragrances? What is the journey? Who does that for me? Maybe you want to give us maybe some tips about private labeling, the fact that you can source from a professional company who specialize in, developing the product, helping you develop the product, and also maybe sometime helping you to bring it to market, depending on the kind of channel that you're opting for. If you have like a very good presence on the market, maybe give us a little bit some tip into the beauty space, how it works, because I know that for people who don't know that dynamic of, you can source manufacturer who can help you do everything. You don't need to be like knowledgeable on everything. You just need to have clarity on your brand DNA, maybe your core consumer group. And then from there, you can be guided into developing a product range and kicking it. Is it a money problem? Is it a knowledge problem? Is it a market dynamic problem? Where do you feel like that opportunity is not being like optimized today, and what do you feel is like blocking that opportunity? Is it knowledge, maybe? Awesome, thank you. Sometimes we feel like, and just having the information can unlock a lot of doors, and also finding the right partner. because I think probably for many African or brands performing on African markets or brand born in Africa, we do not have access to global knowledge of how industry function. It might be a drawback because they just don't know. They don't even imagine it's possible. Most of the marketplaces that you will see in Abidjan, in Lagos, maybe in Cameroon, I feel like there's a huge gap between the very structured marketplaces where you have nice merchandising and display, the very dysfunctional one where you don't really know what is in the product. And then you say, okay, in between, if I was to bring a product to market, and that's also what I see a lot in the beauty space. I'm going to do it at home. I'm going to do it like a grandma. I'm going to do it a specific way. And with that product, you won't be able to cross any borders because of certification, because of medical issue that you could create because of that product. And it seems like a scary space because I'm like, okay, there's so many norms that if you don't understand, it also has um, public health issue. And I know that space is a little bit like, listening to a lot of creatives. And I would love to see more beauty brands or see more fashion brand crossing over and maybe extending the potential of their market space or the consumer groups that they have access to by just doing a new category. So I'm really happy that part of the program that we're going to be able to touch base on that to maybe explore a little bit, and for the participant who want to go a little bit deeper into maybe diversifying, they can definitely explore how do I bring to the table maybe a small range of three perfumes, like 3 cents on my perfume range, because I think that's an opportunity that is not being used today. That's being left on the table. That's a lot of business that is being left on the table from a lot of designers who are, struggling to also grow their fashion brand, but who have a very nice identity and who can really venture into telling a story from a sense perspective, for instance. So thank you for your knowledge. Thank you really for opening it to us. And I'm looking forward, as part of the program, the participant to get more of you and maybe to get concrete tips on how to go into that and have also concrete information on how to do evaluation of how much do I need to start that, how many pieces do I need to put on the table, and what is the best way to go at it. Maybe one element that I want us to use to close. Can you give us, because I'm seeing that in the live, we also have few people who are mostly beauty space. What are the opportunity that you see in the beauty space today that are not being properly explored on the continent? I've seen some big groups come to the continent in terms of beauty and just in everywhere. What do you think is lacking for her own homegrown brands to be able to spread and to have that audience and to really tap into those markets? Do you feel like maybe we're not optimizing what is possible in a beauty space today? Awesome. Thank you. I also feel like it might be paradoxical because I feel like there's so many ingredients and so many beauty routines that are embedded into the tradition of Africa that has not been explored yet. And I like when you say the aversion to risk might also be preventing us to explore some territory because research is expensive, trying new things is expensive. But I feel like that's really the room for opportunity when it comes to what Africans can bring to the table. When we look at all the ingredients that we have, and we even go to the depth of the little villages, and we see that grandmothers have routines that has not been popularized yet. I feel like that's also a way to be and anchored into who we are, into our tradition, and be proud of who we are. And I think we've seen it a lot in the hair care this last decade in terms of, how can you maintain natural hair by using the traditions that are century old on the continent that has not been popularized by the mainstream or big houses who are in those spaces. So thank you for highlighting that. I think as we build spaces where we have more brands, where we have also brands having conversation together, maybe some level of research can be explored from a collective perspective rather than just me alone with my brand bearing the cost of going out there and investing the money that needs to be invested to do the research that needs to be done before I can do something. So thank you for highlighting that, Mame Kani. I see that we lost you. Maybe you have some connection issue. As we waiting for our guests to come back in the room, for the few people who are in live, if you have any questions, now is the time. I'm going to be taking few questions before we close the live. So this live is part of a series of live that we are presenting every Sunday to get potential participants to the program to be exposed to the different experts who are going to be joining the program and to talk so that those experts can talk to you about the part that they're going to be covering in terms of expertise, in terms of market knowledge, and in terms of sharing those knowledge with you in the program. So if you have any question, now could be the right moment. Anyway, the
Hi.
content of the podcast.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I
we
got
lost you for a
disconnected.
minute. Don't worry. So yeah, I was just highlighting and summarizing what we were just talking about earlier about the aversion to risk, maybe also the lack of research and development in the beauty space from an African perspective. And I think those points that you touch are really important points into how we should also look at the future of the beauty space from an African perspective. And as the closing, I was just trying also to explain again the program, the dynamic of the program, the use of this live to give people also access to you expert to be able to introduce yourself, talk about what you're doing, and talk about how you will facilitate for those participants to really understand the dynamic that we are trying to build, giving the knowledge, giving access to the knowledge, giving access to expertise to founders, to creative entrepreneur in-house space today who are performing it on in the diaspora or on the continent to really have access to those knowledge and be able to have more strategic approach to their strategy to the growth of their brand. Because what I've seen a lot this last year is really that we are doing a lot of things because
Yes.
we just trust our gut feeling, but we are not like anchoring those decisions on concrete things that are happening on the markets. So we can't see you, we can hear you, but we
Yes.
can't see you. I don't know if you have a little issue with your camera.
Yes. So it's again the reason why I got disconnected is the network. And I'm just trying to optimize for the audio. But
Perfect.
to
So
be
guys, we're just
very
gonna
honest, sorry.
go ahead,
No,
sorry.
I was going to say that it sounds really exciting. I'm looking forward also to meet the different founders that will be participating to the
Participants.
program. Again, every case is going to be unique, and we're going to have to look at it with a set of eyes that are fit for that specific case. And this is really something that I'm really, really, really interested in. It's what drives me in my day-to-day work.
Amazing. I mean, like, we are blessed and lucky to have you because I know it's also a huge pile of information that you have access to, and then you can guide us to have access to as well, to have a greater understanding of spaces that we might be frightened to explore or we feel that it's too expensive to explore, which are spaces where there are a lot of opportunity, even if the cost to entry to market might be high. Being guided by the right expert is this first step toward taking what is on the table in those spaces as well. So thank you very much for making the time this morning. Even if technically we are challenged by some connection issues, we will make it. So thank you for everyone who participated this morning. So if you have a last words for maybe closing this session, go ahead. I'm happy to let you take the floor and maybe say a few words before.
Thank you. I just wanted to maybe share not a secret. I want to reassure, founders. I'm not an entrepreneur myself, but I do, work with some leaders, people who are, they own full industries that have been on the market for over 60 years. everybody has the same questions. It doesn't matter if you're small or big, everybody has the same questions. The risk is the same for everybody. Everybody has something that they're putting on the table and that they could possibly, lose. So you are not alone in this reflection. You're not alone in the blur sometimes that market and consumers can be. This is something that major companies have spent a lot of time researching because, again, of this asymmetry between a global consumer versus African specific consumers. Again, the bar is at the same level for everybody. Again, it's not something that is inaccessible even for the founders that are just starting. So I'm looking forward to discovering your projects and your businesses during the program, and happy to dive into it and to help you take the good
Thank you so much, Mame Kani. So
pleasure.
everyone, the program can't wait to receive you and share knowledge with you. So the enrollment process is still ongoing. You have
Yep.
the link in her bio. You have the link as well in on the website. So if you go to www.munlook.africa, you have access to Academy, in which you have the different program. Then you choose the digital class. You will see the different part of the program. You will also see the different expert conversation that we're going to be facilitating. So the idea is to bring to the table a little bit more than 7 experts, and myself is going to be 8 experts guiding you toward the creative industry from an African perspective, and also giving you keys to enter this market for those who are not yet in the market, or giving you also keys to revamp, to reinvent yourself, and to find a place in the market that matches your DNA, that matches the essence of your brand, and of course help you grow what you're trying to do. And what we're trying to build also with the diverse background of the founders who are joining the program is those crossovers, to say we shouldn't be seeing fashion, design, beauty, lifestyle as silos where everybody has to be performing in their own silos. We should cross over more, because I think in the crossover we can really win, or we can really explore territory that are being left on the table today because we just don't know, or because we're not just talking to each other. So the idea with the diversification of the background of the different experts, because we have experts who are coming from the beauty space, the fashion space, the luxury space, the heritage space as well, to really bring all of them to the table to help you understand all the dynamics that are in play when it comes to the African continent, all the opportunities that we have to tap into if we're looking at a future with a very bright, because I know, like, politically speaking right now, we feel like, hey, it might be a third world war. Guys, you have to keep the
Life
smile.
will still
We can't
continue.
give up. We have to keep the smile. We have to keep pushing for what
Yes.
we believe in. And that's also the idea of the program. That's why we wanted to also build a program that is not only about branding, but which is from creating from an African perspective, because we really believe that there's a lot of heritage, a lot of cultural heritage that is not being explored. Cultural being tangible or intangible. There's a lot of things from an African perspective today that is not being used for marketing purposes, are not being used for even progress. So I think that's the vision of the program. Enrollment is until the end of February. So go online, look at the link. We can't wait to have you in the program. If you have any questions here, you can DM us. You can personally DM me. I'm on socials, or you can email me, no problem. I'm happy to give you further detail about the program. And for next week's session, we're going to be receiving somebody who's in a luxury and heritage. She's based in Morocco. She worked with a lot of big names in the fashion industry. So it's going to be helping us also have access to those secrets of the business that sometimes seems to be out of her touch. So thank you very much for tuning in today. Looking forward for her session for next week. Thank you so much again, Mame
Same.
Kani, for joining us this morning.
My pleasure.
And
Thank you for
I hope
having
you
me.
spend a very beautiful Sunday, everyone, and talk to you very soon. Mame Kani, you have to stay online until the whole thing is looping, so don't leave yet. I'm going
All
to
right.
close the live on Instagram, but we're going to
Okay.
be staying a little bit in studio before everything is downloaded.
Sure. No
Thank you,
problem.
guys. Talk to you very soon.
Happy
Bye
Sunday.
bye.
Goodbye.